Welcome to TOMGIRL, where we talk all things sports, entertainment, fashion, and adventure. On this episode, we're talking to Adriana Stovall, an environmental scientist, off-roader, surfer, snowboarder, camper, long-distance backpacker, and member of Team Pivot and Persist, competing in this year's Rebelle Rally. Welcome to the show, Adriana.
Thank you so much. It's so great to be on the show today.
Yeah,
Nice to meet you, JJ.
Thank you for taking the time. Nice to meet you too. I've heard so much about you from our buddy Jolene, and I love that you two women are, out there together doing all these wonderful things, which we'll dive into later with the Rebelle Rally. Let's first start out talking. You have a very interesting job. So you're an environmental scientist. Tell us what that is about and what that entails.
Sure. So I'm an environmental scientist and I currently work for a water quality consulting company and I'm the Southern California field manager. So I spend the majority of my life out in the field running monitoring programs, for stormwater, wastewater, agricultural projects all over the board. So it's been a really exciting job. I've been there for about 15 years now and I have absolutely loved it. I've got to see some incredible landscapes and get in touch with, our environment in ways that a lot of people haven't had an opportunity to do so. But I'm really excited to announce that I recently got a new job. I am the new environmental scientist of regulatory affairs for a local water agency. So I'm not going to be in the field anymore, which breaks my heart a little bit, but I'm looking forward to more of a work-life balance these days. And it's going to give me more time and energy to dedicate to my personal outdoor pursuits since I won't be in the field so much professionally anymore.
Yeah, talk about making that decision, because I think that's really tough for, a lot of us in the world these days. We're trying to find that we have these passions. We want to be outside, we want to do things that we want to do. And lots of times, sometimes we're not able to do that because of work. So how was it for you coming to that conclusion that you were ready for a new change?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if I had a chance to mention this yet, but I'm a mother. I have an 11-year-old son. And so just trying to juggle, being a mom, working full time. I'm in the very end of pursuing the last bit of my education right now as well. So I have a lot of spinning plates in my life and trying to find time to do the things in the outdoors that make me feel the most alive was really a struggle. Working 9 to 5, sometimes strange hours as well. So my life is like an episode of Storm Chasers. In the wintertime, anytime that there's rain in the forecast, I'm on call. And, there have been many years where I've been out on Christmas and Thanksgiving, New Year's, middle of the night, the rain is coming down sideways. And it wasn't always a good fit for trying to, like I said, find time and energy for all of my personal pursuits and then also be a mom. So I'm just looking forward to things being a little bit more predictable and easy. And don't get me wrong, it's been a wonderful career for the last 15 years and I have loved it. And I think I'm going to miss it quite a bit when I'm sitting in my desk looking at my computer 9 to 5 every day. So it's going to be a little bit of a transition, but I'm really looking forward to the new challenge.
Yeah, describe a little bit more, because I have no idea exactly what like a day in the life of an environmental scientist would be like. Can you describe more what you've been doing for these past years?
Sure, sure. So my company specializes in like regulatory assistance. So when the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, comes out with a new law, basically saying that a certain pollutant, it could be bacteria, it could be sediment, it could be pesticides, you name it, can only be present in like a creek, a stream, a pond, the ocean, any type of water body. We go out and we do pollutant assessments. So we collect water samples, send them off to laboratories, they get analyzed, we get the data back, we write big boring reports about everything. And my position in the company was to run these monitoring programs and make sure that everything was running smoothly in the field. So there's a lot of moving parts. I'm working with a lot of different coworkers, sub-consultants, laboratories, just the logistics of it all. And so I think that was part of the appeal when I met Jolene initially and we started talking about the Rebelle Rally is, she was just having a conversation with me about what my job entails, because she was also very interested, like, environmental scientist, what does that even mean? And so the first thing out of my mouth was, my job is really weird, and most of the time I get a set of truck keys and a list of coordinates and a time that I need to hit all of these sites and be back. And her mind was just blown, because that's a lot of what the rally entails as well. And I'm sure we'll get into that in a little bit.
Let's dive into it now, because I'm so
Yeah.
like enthusiastic about this and want to hear all your stories. So yeah, so tell us about this rally that you guys are competing in.
Sure. So we're Team Pivot and Persist. We're team number 102 for the 2023 Rebelle Rally. And so the rally is a very unique event. I had never heard about it until I had met Jolene, and she, gave me a little rundown of what it actually is. But it is a completely technology-free, not race, but navigation competition. And so we spend 8 days on trail and navigate using only compass, maps, road book, absolutely no GPS, no cell phones, nothing like that. We're literally licking our finger and sticking it in the wind and trying to figure out where we're supposed to go. So it is the longest off-road navigation competition in the US, and it just happens to be all for women. So we're going to spend about 8 days on trail, 10 days total for the whole event. There's a tech inspection at the beginning, and then there's a celebration at the end. But 8 days on trail, completely disconnected from the world. I mean, we can make phone calls from base camp each night to our family, but that's about it. We're not on social media. We're not documenting this stuff. We're relying on our fabulous team of photographers and the race crew to telecast and webcast this event for us. So the event itself is about 2,500 kilometers, which is little under 1,600 miles. And we're going to be going across the Nevada and California desert and hitting checkpoints. So the way that the rally is set up is there's several different types of competitions that we have to do during the 8 days. So we have to hit different types of checkpoints. There's green checkpoints, blue checkpoints, and black diamond checkpoints. And then we also have to do something called enduros. So we have an on time and an on route enduro. So those consist of like making sure that we're maintaining a certain speed, that we're staying on route, that we're hitting different markers at a certain time, like within 3 to 5 seconds, like, for the maximum amount of points. So it's incredibly accurate. And that's a big part of what I do for my work as well is estimating how long it would take us to get in between our monitoring sites. And so I think my brain is already in that world of staying on task, staying on time, having all of the equipment with us, being prepared, figuring out a way to make up for time if there's a mistake or some unanticipated challenge. And so I feel like that's so much a part of my life already. So I am really, really looking forward to seeing how we're going to do.
It's just such an incredible event. Yeah, I hadn't heard about it until but through social media as well. And I'm like, this is just insane. Especially because now, I mean, we don't go anywhere without putting,
Oh,
something
yeah.
phone of where to get, like, so
Yeah.
so you've had a lot of preparation for it. Talk us through like what you've been going through to prepare for this.
Sure. So Jolene and I actually just went a couple weekends ago out to Ocotillo Wells in Borrego Springs and Glamis, and we met up with the rally team. They were putting on a 4-day navigation and driving intensive course, which basically just throws us right into everything that we would ever need to know about the rally. So they talked about the rally format, like the points and scoring system. They took us out to the dunes for some technical driving practice. I mean, we did everything. We did dune driving. We drove down an incredibly huge slip face. I'm sure you saw some of the pictures from the training weekend that we had. We talked about how to change a tire, different things that we needed to be aware of with our car as far as maintenance. We met a lot of the other team members as well. So some of the other competing teams, they were there at the training. So that was really great just to form those bonds and talk about what we were nervous about. And so what else did we do? We also learned how to use our compasses and navigate, do like on land and driving navigation. And we got a chance to hold like the piece of equipment that we're going to be doing like our check-ins with. So that's the only piece of technology that we have available to us during the event is like our check-in, just to see if we've actually hit our checkpoint or not. And so that was really exciting. And then we got a chance to plot our own coordinates, drive to them, check to see if we made it or not, and do the on route and on time enduros as well, which I wasn't that worried about before, but after doing them and seeing how precise you have to be and how great your communication has to be with your partner. I think that was the biggest takeaway from the training, is that Jolene and I got a chance to really figure out like what our dynamic is. And luckily, her and I found out that we work really well together and we have really similar personalities. I don't know if she mentioned it to you, but her and I both have birthdays that are around the same time. So like the way that our brain functions, and we're both Capricorns. And so we're just like, very good team members, lots of good communication. And even when things got hard, we had some unanticipated challenges that came our way, that we just really, took care of each other and figured a way out of the situation. And it was really a beautiful experience.
What were some of those challenges?
So we ended up getting a flat tire on the trail. And Jolene has big 37-inch tires on her Jeep Rubicon. And so changing the tire itself was a little frustrating because they're so big. Those tires are heavy. I'm familiar with my own vehicle. I have a Toyota 4Runner, and I'm not really a Jeep person. And so trying to learn everything about her car and what tools she had and working together as a team, some of the tools that we needed were back at base camp and we didn't have them with us. And so we had to just figure it out. That was a challenge. Before we could even change the tire, we were in a weird part of the trail where it wasn't even and there wasn't a flat open surface. And we were in the middle of kind of like a thoroughfare, like where a lot of different people were going to be coming through. So we had to plug the tire and then drive it to a safe spot and then change the tire there. So that was one of it. And I think just being out on the trail for multiple days in a row and camping every single night. We're not staying in a hotel. We're cooking our own food. We're gathered around a campfire. We're sleeping in a tent. The wind is blowing, everything, and you're not getting the greatest sleep. And then to go out on the trail and have 10 plus hours, sometimes 12 hours of just intense brain time. We're waking up at 5 a.m. We're getting our breakfast. We're loading our gear. Then we're plotting our coordinates. Then we're driving for hours and hours. And then we're learning. And then we're stopping. And then we're learning. And we're stopping. And it's a lot. It was very mentally taxing. And I think by the middle, towards the end of each day, our brains were fried. We were burnt out. And we found ourselves not communicating the best. Jolene found out that I am the happiest and most efficient when I have a snack every hour and a half. So she literally put that into her cell phone notes, like, Adri needs to eat every hour and a half. So just make sure that you give her a granola bar or something. So it was funny just learning these little quirks about one another. And I learned kind of how she functions and what's the best way to communicate with her so we can have a happy environment in the car. Because honestly, spending that much time with anybody under those stressful circumstances is a lot. And her and I have been friends for less than a year now. So it's a very new friendship. But even though we function so well together, and I feel like I've known her my whole life, it's still trying to figure out what the dynamic and what's the recipe for success.
Yeah. How do you think, because you're going to be on there 8 days,
Yeah.
what do you think is going to be the key to like keeping you guys through and making this be a successful run?
Laughter, humor, 100%. Jolene and I, just from that one weekend, we already have so many inside jokes, and people who are standing next to us see us just cackling together and making jokes and funny little nicknames and everything. And they're just like, what are they talking about? It's like we're speaking our own language, which is such a relief. And I'm an outgoing person, but to a certain extent. And I feel like once my social battery is drained, I need to disappear. I need to just get alone time, recharge my battery. And I was worried about spending that much time with anybody. I mean, Jolene is a perfect candidate to spend that much time with because we're so similar, but spending that much time with anyone and not really having an opportunity for alone time was probably my biggest concern. But I was so pleased that both of us were feeling like we needed to get away from the group and just have some quiet time just at our own little campsite, but that we felt comfortable and able to recharge our batteries with one another. And so it was like, we're kind of tired. Do you want to go to bed? Yeah, I want to go to bed. Let's go hang out. And then we would go in our separate tents, but then we'd be talking to one another. And I thought it was just, just our friendship was really apparent, and the way that we were caring for one another. I noticed that sometimes when she would get stressed out or she was a little overwhelmed with something, that I would step in and I would handle something for her. And I could tell how grateful she was. And then vice versa, when I was deep in the details of plotting or, all the map and the navigation stuff, she was like, here's a granola bar. Did you drink some water? I'll put on some stuff on the radio. Is everything okay? So just like taking care of each other, like almost like you're in a marriage, like a relationship, just knowing when your person is starting to shut down and what they would need to feel better in that moment. I think that was the key component.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
What have you felt like after you've done these weekends, these preparation weekends? How do you walk away feeling?
So I spend a lot of time in the outdoors. I do a lot of off-roading and camping and backpacking and everything under the sun in my personal time. So I live for this. I mean, I am just a dirt gremlin. I love to be out in the desert. I love to be behind the wheel. I love maps and compasses and just getting from point A to point B. I love the challenge. That's very much my personality. And I think a lot of my friends and my family members, they think I'm crazy. They're like, your idea of a vacation is to strap 40 pounds onto your back and go walk into the wilderness and like disappear for a couple of days and like test the limits of your body and your mind. Like, that's crazy. Go to the spa. And I'm like, I'm not that kind of girl. That's just not me. I like to see exactly how far I can push myself. I like to see where that limit is because it makes me feel so much more capable and calm in everyday life. I feel like having these extreme hobbies and these interests really brings me back into the real world and nothing stresses me out anymore. Like, I cool as a cucumber under like in circumstances where most people would be freaking out. And my family members, they're like, when the shit hits the fan, we know that you're the one to call because we won't catch you sweating about anything. And I think it's because I have, this outdoor lifestyle where there are real dangers and real stress and real timelines and just real extreme circumstances that it really has prepared me to just not really get freaked out about hardly anything in my real life.
Good life lessons. What do
Yeah.
you look forward to most about the rally?
Let's see. I'm looking forward to connecting with all of the incredible women that this rally attracts. So that was probably the second biggest thing that we took away from the weekend in Ocotillo is Jolene and I were just chatting in the car about how many badass women are coming together for this rally. I mean, it's a certain type of girl that's really attracted to this type of event because it's such a long event. There's so many intense skills that you need to have. You need to be an amazing off-roader, have these technical driving skills. There's so many different terrains that we're covering, but then you need to have the navigation skills. You need to be an avid camper who's comfortable camping 8 days in a row. That's a lot. That's a lot even for me. And just as talking around, the dinner table in the evenings after each of the training days, we're meeting people who are engineers, literal rocket scientists. I'm a scientist myself. Jolene has all of these amazing hobbies and stories to tell. And just the type of woman that is attracted to this event was so inspiring. Like the sense of community and the sense of belonging that we experienced after meeting all these people was just top tier. I mean, I feel like maybe this is true and maybe a lot of people that come onto your show talk about this, but being a tom girl, it's not easy. It's hard to connect with other women because I don't feel like I have the same hobbies as a lot of people. I feel like I have very, very boy hobbies. And, I meet a lot of women throughout my life, especially in a professional setting. And it's like, oh, what do you enjoy? Well, I like reading and I like shopping and I like, just typical stuff. And that's completely fine. But that's not me. I don't really watch TV. My hobbies and the things that I obsess about are way off in the deep end. And to be able to finally meet other women that felt like they were cut from the same cloth, like, oh my God, you're another one of my species. It was so mind blowing. And I'm just so grateful and excited to like connect with the rest of the teams because in Ocotillo, I think there was only 10 of us. It was a small group. And so the rally is going to have 50 plus teams. So we're going to have over 100 women that we're meeting that are just like us.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about that.
That's what looking at, following them on Instagram. I'm just amazed by that too. I'm like, what a wonderful thing they're doing and how great to bring all these like badass women together to be doing
Yeah.
this event. Like you said, I mean, it's definitely not easy to like you said, navigate everything that you have to with this rally. Like you said, it's not just camping, it's not just off-roading, it's just this combo of all of these things. So kudos to you guys for doing it. I can't wait to follow you. You got the countdown going. When is the event?
Yeah, so it's going to be in October, October 12th through the 21st. And so we're going to have a tech inspection day that first day, and then we'll get on the trail the following day. So we're really excited. So you can follow along on YouTube. They have, live webcasting that they're going to be doing. So each day of the event is called a stage. So there's, 8 days of the event. So they're going to have these stages where they're following us. They have drones, they have photographers, they have people, broadcasting everything on YouTube. And so you can follow along and see where we are on the trail, whether or not we're hitting our checkpoints, what our score is at the end of the day, what our standing is. They have all these different classes. So they have a rookie class, which Jolene and I are really hoping that we're going to do well in the rookie class because this is our first time doing this event. So we're hoping that we're going to do great in that class. But they have a bone stock class where the car has absolutely no modifications. It's fresh off the lot. There's nothing that's been done to it. And then they have a 4x4 class, they have a crossover class. So there's just a lot of different like categories of awards that you can get in recognition. So we're hoping that with our combined outdoor skills and our good teamwork, and just with both of us really being entrenched in this desert and camping and logistics world, that we're gonna do great. So our main goal is just to have fun and to learn a lot and to really immerse ourselves in this world. But, a little part of me wants to do good too. I want those points. I'm very competitive.
And you guys made some incredible merchandise. Tell people where they can like buy that to help support and raise money for your cause.
Yeah, so that's the other portion of the event that's kind of been taking up most of our time now that we're about 6 months out from the event, is that we're still fundraising. So the registration costs for the Rebelle Rally are about $15,000 alone. But that doesn't even include like the gear that we need, the gas to get there, the hotel lodging the night before. Like there's all these other costs that are associated with this rally. So we're trying to make sure that we have sponsors, which we already have a few really amazing sponsors, Ventura County local businesses that are adamant in supporting us. So we're really thankful to our sponsors. And, we're in the process of trying to get more sponsors. And then we also created a merchandise website. So it's open for only about 4 more days now. We had a really short window, about a 2-week window, where people could order tank tops and hoodie sweatshirts and t-shirts, long sleeve shirts, stickers, beanies, and it has our logo on it. And so they can buy that, and whatever proceeds, profit is going to go directly into our registration cost, fund. So we're really excited about that. So I'll send you the link after this, and then you can hopefully post it and people can spread the word.
Yeah, they're super cute. You guys are gonna want to wear this gear. And it looks comfy. Guys got a great logo. It's really nice.
Thanks so much. Jolene is just like a marketing whiz. So she's designed all of our stuff. And I'm so thankful that she's, tech savvy, because me, I'm very hands off.
I
Yeah,
got
I'm not a tech girl.
the team. Well, let's now talk about, because you were doing even before this, like you said, all kinds of outdoor activities. Let's kind of talk about some of the activities that you do and how this became such a big part of your life.
Sure. So I would say that the way that I started getting into the outdoors in the first place was when I became a mom. So I have an 11-year-old son, and when he was born, he has been a whirlwind of dirt and boogers since the day he popped out of the womb. He has always been just a feral wild child. And I think that as soon as I became a mom, I realized like the outdoors is the only place that this kid belongs. And so we started doing a lot of camping, a lot of hiking when he was a toddler. He just wasn't civilized enough for the real world. And so we really just, I'm like, go pee on a pine cone, go scream into the wind, go do whatever you got to do. But we're going outside because we're not staying in this house, and we're not going into the real world either. And it was so healing for both of us. My son is so amazing. He has been like my number one fan, my biggest, like, he's just my road dog, He goes everywhere with me, and we have been to some incredible places. I mean, I put him in Boy Scouts or Cub Scouts when he was in kindergarten, and he was completely bored by it because all of the adventures that we had had before that were 10 times more exciting than anything that he was doing, with his Cub Scout pack. So we've gone backpacking together. I mean, this kid, before he was even 8 years old, has been over 10,000 foot elevation. We go backpacking together, we go camping, we go off-roading all the time. I've taken him out to the Channel Islands and we've kayaked through, sea caves and just seen some incredible vistas. So I think my love for the outdoors really began at the same time that I became a mom. And it was a really beautiful experience because I felt like right when I was struggling with my identity, because when you become a mother, it takes up so much of your time, so much of your bandwidth, and it becomes your whole identity overnight. And it's hard to remember who you are outside of being a mom because you need to be a full, happy, complete person outside of your motherhood role so you can, you know, be the best version of yourself for your child and really fill your own cup. And so to be able to really dive into the outdoors and then also like grow as a mother at the same time was just so beautiful. And it gave me and my son such a bonding experience. I mean, I have so many photos of us just at the top of a mountain, fishing in a lake, in the middle of the desert, inside of a cave, like you name it. We've just been everywhere together. And I'm so grateful that I've been able to give him that type of childhood, really just like a coonskin cap, canoeing down a river type of childhood. And I never had that as a kid. I grew up poor. We didn't have a lot of opportunities. My mom did her best. And I have some really great memories from that. But, I don't think my son realizes how good he has it until he's an adult and he's a parent himself. I think he's going to look back and be like, wow, like my mom really did that. And she did it being a single mom too, I think he's going to appreciate it a lot more when he's older.
Oh, for sure. And I absolutely love, I mean, when you were telling me about this before when we were talking to, and I said, it's great because I've heard people before, you feel like once they have the kid that they stop doing those activities or, they feel like they can't, or they have to, stay home. So when you said that was what got you, out there and going and that he was your road dog, I think that's just so beautiful. And yeah, you guys are going to have this be bonded even more for life, having shared all these experiences together.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm so excited, looking forward to the future because now he's 11, he's a preteen, a tween, whatever you want to call him, but he's just so much easier now and he doesn't require quite as much assistance or help or work anymore. And so he's a big kid. So this is like where the fun part of our life really begins, and he has his own personality and hobbies and interests and everything and we're just best friends and I'm so grateful for it. So we have a lot of, activities that we want to do together, a long list of places that we want to visit. So, yeah, I'm just so grateful.
Yeah, that's great. Let's talk about, so there's so much that you do. I was like, I feel like there's so many things to ask you about. So let's talk about some of your other activities like the solo backpacking and the off-roading in your own forerunner. And yeah, talk about some of the things that you like to do in your free time.
Sure. So, gosh, where do I start? I have way too many hobbies. It's getting expensive, JJ, I got to tell you. So, let's see. I would say probably my favorite hobbies would be the off-roading. So, I have a Toyota 4Runner and I take that thing everywhere. I have been all across, the Mojave Desert. I've been, in the Eastern Sierras on BLM land. I love dispersed camping. So, that is camping just on public lands, not in a campsite, dry camping, bring your own water, pack up your own stuff. Absolutely no one around. I take my dog with me all the time. She loves it. So I do a lot of off-roading. I have a couple friends that are into the off-roading world as well. We have a long group chat that's popping off about 50 times a day about what modifications we want to make. I try to work on my own car as much as I possibly can. For the more technical stuff that maybe I don't have time for, or just don't have the skill level or the comfort level to even attempt it, I do have a couple friends and a mechanic who's actually one of my best friend's husbands who has a mobile mechanic business. And so he comes in and he works on my car. He's worked on Jolene's car. So he's our unofficial rally mechanic. But yeah, off-roading is probably one of my favorites because it's very technical, just the overlanding aspect of it. You're driving a certain distance, making it to a certain location, camping for the night, packing up the next day, and doing it all over again and having, a stretch of 4 or 5 days that you're, making a trek across, some desert or some, landscape that you want to explore more in depth. depth. So that's been really wonderful. I'm a backpacker as well. I love doing solo backpacking, which not a lot of people have the guts to go and do, but I think it's wonderful. Like I said, I'm kind of an introvert, so getting that time away from the real world, getting to turn my phone off completely. No emails, no Instagram, nobody can find me. Oh my God, it's heaven. So I love it. And really connecting with nature and being able to be in touch with the landscape is something that I feel really adamant about. Like I said, in my professional life, being an environmental scientist, I obviously have such an intense passion for the environment and for nature. But I'm like a big time geology nerd. I want to go and I want to see mountains. I want to think about how many millions of years old they are. I want to explore all these creeks and streams and look for cool rocks in the stream bed. I want to just marvel at all the tiny little wildflowers that are popping up and native plants and wildlife. That's something that backpacking really gives you an opportunity to do, and you have to work hard for it. And especially hiking and backpacking at elevation. A lot of the trails that I like to target are 10,000 feet plus in elevation. And so I haven't climbed Mount Whitney yet. I've been putting in for the permit for about 5 or 6 years now and never get it. So maybe this year will be my year. I don't know. It'll happen eventually.
I know it's a tough ticket. What are some of your favorite hikes that you have done?
Oh gosh, so the Eastern Sierra totally has my heart. I mean, every single time that I hit a trail out there, I think to myself, this is my new favorite place in the world. And then I find a new trail and I say, nope, this is my new favorite place in the world. So Treasure Lakes is the one that I've done most recently. And I took my son, and it was like at about 11,500 feet. And it's about a 9 mile hike in, which isn't a very long hike. It was just a one nighter for me and my son, but it was beautiful. I think that being away from all the light pollution in the city, it gives you an amazing opportunity to see the Milky Way, like in a way that you would never be able to see it in the city. Just the wildlife, the silence, the grand geology, and all of these mountains and outcroppings, and just exactly how the world was before humans got our hands on it and started chopping stuff down and polluting everywhere. So it really gives me this perspective of like, when life gets hard, when my professional world gets hard, I get a little beat down by how much I'm working or these projects, and I go out and I say, this is exactly why I'm in this industry. This is why I'm doing this. This is why I'm taking this hard road. It really like puts my whole life into perspective. And it also puts even like emotional problems, or you got problems with your family, you have problems in dating, whatever it is, it puts like all of those problems into perspective too. Because it's like my life and my existence is such a small little sliver in the grand scheme of things. Like, look at this mountain, this 50 million year old rock face. My shit doesn't matter. It's really like such a small portion of like the whole grand plan. So that's what I love the most about backpacking. And you just really get a chance to get acquainted with landscapes that you normally wouldn't be able to. You can't drive to these places. You got to scramble over these rocks and climb these tiny little trails and navigate over snow sometimes too. It's incredible.
I love you can just feel your passion for it. And I'm right there with you. I just love there's nothing like getting outside. And then I know that you are so passionate about it. And this is something you want to use your voice to encourage others to get out and do more of.
Yes, yes. So I would say that it has been very eye-opening for me over the last, 10, 11 years since I've really dug into the outdoor lifestyle, that it's so apparent that the outdoors is very much a male-dominated industry. It is very much a white people-dominated industry. And I struggle to find women and women of color, especially, that are into the outdoors. Luckily, some of my best friends are women of color and we all enjoy the same stuff, but we're all very passionate that we want to encourage women and women of color, people of color in general, that the outdoors are for you too. They're not just for everybody else. Like, we need to go out and encourage people that are in our same group to really just embrace that the public lands, they belong to us too. I mean, at the end of the day, all of these landscapes, it was all native land at one point. And to really to encourage people to explore that and embrace it, I think that's very close to my heart.
Yeah. What would you say to somebody who's hesitant about getting out to the outdoors?
I would say that the outdoors the number one comment that I get from people, they're like, "Aren't you scared?" And I tell them there are a million more risks in the city than there are in the outdoors. As long as you have the right gear, you have the right knowledge, and maybe somebody to hold your hand a little bit as you get your footing and really try to embrace it and learn about it more. Um, there are so many sketchy things that can happen in the city than there are in the mountains, you know? People are the real threat, you know? You have so much better of a chance of getting hurt, or like coming across a threat in the city, just going grocery shopping, walking home to your house, like going on a jog in the morning. Like people are so much more scary than wildlife, and nature. And I think it's just people really being comfortable with like a technology driven world. They feel comfortable around people, they feel comfortable in their house. They're so disconnected from where their food comes from how, just natural processes even function and even work. We're not built like we used to be. So I think just spreading that education, and people are like, wow, you're so insane. Like, don't you feel afraid of sleeping in a tent? What if you get eaten by a bear? I said, well, what if I get robbed? What if I get murdered? What there's serial killers in the city. Bears don't care about anything except for your granola bars that you forgot inside of your tent. You know what I mean? Like there's that one off, wildlife encounter that people have, and then they talk about it on the news. That's so few and far between. All the wildlife that I've encountered, they've been peaceful. They want to keep their distance. You yell at them and they take off running in the other direction. People are the real threat. Cities are dirty and full of scary people, and the outdoors are free of all of that. And it's beautiful. It's wonderful.
Very well said. What is some of the gear that you like to take when you're doing your solo backpacking?
Oh my gosh, I think that's why Jolene and I get along so well is because we're like gear nerds. We love talking about gear. And I'm very particular because of all my time in the field for work, I have like a set of things that I like to bring with me every day. I mean, I'm a big overalls girl, so wherever I go, if I'm camping, if I'm off-roading, if I'm, in the field for work, I'm in overalls because you got all these pockets and you can fit all your stuff. So I'm very much about taking field notes. I like to do that. I bring my pocket knife with me every day. I love my hydro flask more than anything. It's my emotional support water bottle. I have probably 7 or 8 different tents for different types of camping that I do. Same thing with sleeping pads, different backpacks, water filtration devices. I mean, like 5 different pairs of hiking boots for different activities, you name it. REI has taken so much of my money.
I love it. You're making me want to raid your closet.
Totally, totally. Yeah, my garage is like a mini REI, and yeah, lots of different types of coolers and cooking, gear. It's kind of wild. It's silly.
Oh no, I think I'm with you. I think it's so fun, and I could do some damage with with gear at REI as well.
Totally, totally.
Well, before I let you go, what do you have any advice out there for people? And this one's hard because you do so, I mean, it could be, getting outdoors in general, or if there's something you've learned most about either off-roading or anything that you're like, oh man, I wish I would have known this a few, years ago or when I started, or it's so wide with you because there's so much that you do. So anything that you think of maybe that the listeners that you'd want to tell somebody out there listening.
The thing that I wish I knew about the outdoors and the outdoors as a woman, my experience as a woman in the outdoors, is I wish I knew before how empowering it was going to be. I wish I knew how much something simple like taking my small son camping for the first time, or going to Yosemite and visiting Vernal Falls for the first time and just having this like aha moment. I wish I knew how pivotal that was going to be in my life. I mean, my entire identity as a mother, my career, how I spend my free time, how I spend my money, all of it is surrounded by, the outdoors. And that has been so incredibly empowering for me because nature is healing. It gives you perspective that you wouldn't have normally. It gives you inner strength that you wouldn't be able to find anywhere else. And I just encourage anybody who is feeling lost to go out in the outdoors and actually get lost, because that's how you find yourself, and you're going to find so much inner strength, so much beauty, so much perspective. It's going to blow your mind. I just wish more women especially would go out and just experience these beautiful landscapes and just really get in touch with Mother Nature, with the earth.
Yeah. Oh man, you're making me want to go outside right now.
Good. That's what I'm here to do.
Exactly. Well, you've just been wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your story and talk with us today. Tell everybody again where they can just follow you on Instagram or wherever in your normal life, but also how they can get the merchandise again and follow you guys in the Rebelle Rally.
Sure. So Jolene and I are both on Instagram and Facebook. So you can find me on Instagram at Adriana Dorothy, all one word. And then you can find Jolene at Jolene_Bibian. And so we're both on Instagram, and we're trying to do a good job of documenting our whole journey leading up to the rally. So you can follow along. We have a lot of information about our team, about our merchandise website. The link is in both of our bios. You can also find us on Facebook. I'm Adriana Stovall on Facebook. She's Jolene Bibian on Facebook. And, you can go to the Rebelle Rally. So it's www.rebellerally.com and find out more about the event. It's huge. It's wonderful. It's female empowering. I just can't wait for you guys to follow along.
Yeah, be sure you check it out, guys. It's amazing. It'll be such an incredible event. And I'm going to be cheering you guys on.
Thank you so much, JJ. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you again for taking the time. I appreciate it.
No problem.
All of you guys for listening again. And you can follow along with all things TOMGIRL at TOMGIRL TV on Instagram, Facebook, and the website. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss another episode. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you again next week. Get out there. TOMGIRL.